Hey, paisanos! You all knew this one was coming. Mario Odyssey comes out tomorrow, so while you're all waiting in anticipation, let's go dumpster diving in the Flash game cesspool and see what we can fish out. Boy, I really hope I get at least one laugh out of someone for this shit, cause I'm about to suffer for like 2 weeks for the sake of a 2-second intro to a video. Why do I do this? Alright, so we might as well get the couple of good ones I managed to find out of the way first. I've played this one a few times over the years, and it's actually really fucking cool. It's called Super Mario Crossover, and it's basically just Super Mario Bros. 1, only you have a ton of characters from other franchises that you can play as, complete with all their respective mechanics. Not only do you get to play as 10 different unique characters, but you also have a lot of different palette swap options as well, giving you dozens of different characters to choose from. Surprisingly, it all works really well, too. Going into it the first time, I was thinking it would be kinda weird adding all these different mechanics into one game that was only really meant for one type of gameplay, but it's honestly pretty seamless for the most part. Some characters do make the game easier than others, but it's totally possible to get through the game no matter who you choose to play as. I mean, this game lets me play as Proto Man, and that's reason enough in and of itself to warrant playing it. This game is definitely top tier for browser games as far as I'm concerned, and it's one you should all check out. To be honest, this game is put together so well that it could totally be a standalone game. With a name like Tuper Tario Tros, I wasn't really expecting to find anything of substance in this game, but lo and behold, I was surprised to find out I was wrong. What's happening here is basically a mashup of traditional Super Mario Bros. 1 gameplay mixed with the mechanics of Tetris. Essentially, they turn Mario into a puzzle platformer, and it's actually pretty cool and it works. There's obstacles that you can't get by or big gaps that you can't jump over, and you need to switch between platforming and platform creating. It sounded weird in concept, but in practice, it actually is pretty clever. Of course, though, this is a Flash game, and it's not without typical Flash game jank. But alas, shit like this gives me fucking terrible anxiety, and let's just say I wasn't having an easy go. Like, honestly, real talk, for just a second, I have a hard time even ordering food at a drive-thru because I can't handle the pressure of the person in the speaker waiting on me while cars are behind me. No joke, if you guys know Dookie Shed, him and I were actually at a McDonald's drive-thru like a week ago, and instead of getting to see the menu first, there were employees with tablets taking everyone's orders, and I told him to just meet me outside after he got his food so that I could go inside and order. It was just my luck, though, that this just so happened to be one of the McDonald's that had the Szechuan sauce that day, so let's just say once I walked in, I wanted to blow my stupid brains out anyway. But I digress. Anyway, before I started panicking, I was actually enjoying this game, and it's well put together, and it's a pretty neat idea. It's totally worth checking out. Unfortunately, though, this is pretty much where the good ends for the most part. Buckle up, kiddos. Zombie Mario! I don't really think I even need to actually explain what's going on here. It's a platformer, I guess. Although a lot of the platforms don't even work. Actually, besides Mario's sprite being recolored, I'm not even sure why this is called Zombie Mario. I mean, it's not like it's horror-themed or anything. Mario being a zombie is pretty much just an irrelevant detail. Also, technically, that's not even Mario. That's Jumpman. I know my shit. Anyway, I really couldn't get very far, and this is barely even a game. Also, when you die, it's, like, gruesome as fuck. So I was trying to play this game called Super Mario, which is a platformer starring Mario's supposed sister, but it wouldn't load. Well, like, it loaded, but nothing happened. Luckily for me, though, there's a Halloween version also, so that's the one I'll be playing. I'll be honest, all things considered, this could be a lot worse than it is. The movement is surprisingly pretty fluid. Maria runs like fucking Naruto, and the level design isn't 100% linear. And like Mario to mushrooms, if you find a cake, you grow bigger. Albeit, perhaps, not in the way you'd typically assume. The goal is to reach the flagpole in each stage, wherever it may be. It's not too hard, and the only bullshit I seem to encounter were these flying pumpkins, which basically operate the same way that boos do. If you turn away from them, they follow you, and if you look at them, they freeze. The only reason they're a pain in the ass is because the controls aren't super tight, and movement is fast, making evading them pretty difficult. I didn't manage to get all that far, though, because to be perfectly honest, the second I fired up that last game, I may or may not have whipped myself up a Bloody Mary. If you played all this shit, you'd need something to take the edge off too, trust me. This one's harmless, though, so I'll give it a pass. This is supposed to be Mario in the graphical style of Limbo, I guess, but there's no actual game here. Shit seemed fishy when I started hitting this block for coins and it just never stopped. Then I walked to the right and saw my path was blocked. I thought maybe there was a puzzle involved, but then I noticed the timer, which is fixed at 0. This is the whole game. It must just be a proof of concept because there's nothing here besides one screen of silhouetted visuals and janky controls. Alright, so here's a game where you basically platform through each stage, but instead of jumping on enemies' heads, you just beat the ever-living piss out of them. It surprisingly feels really good to attack enemies, and maybe it's just the sound effect, but it really feels like you're making contact when you land an attack. That's where the pros stop though, because this one's a doozy. For some reason, not only does the camera follow you, so your character is centered the entire time, but the camera zooms out whenever you jump, making precise jumping close to impossible. Because of this, it's very easy to accidentally fall into pits, and it is possible to save yourself with wall jumping, but because of the camera, it turns into the most panic-inducing thing ever. Enemies also take about 10 billion hits each, and you're never really sure when they're defeated because they have no health bar and they just fly off the screen a lot, so you kinda just have to wail on them and hope they don't return. The last fight with Bowser takes about 48,000 years because every single attack is just chip damage to him. I came close so many times, but later on in the fight, he'll randomly just start throwing out unavoidable attacks that made me die over and over each time I was close to beating him. When I finally did beat him, I didn't even feel triumphant, just salty. Okay, so despite the controls in this one being a disaster, this was totally tolerable. Not good, mind you, but tolerable. It's called Mario Ghost House. Well, Mario Ghost House 2. Apparently there's another one somewhere. But it's just your average ghost house maze type level from Super Mario World. Nothing super exciting, but also nothing that makes me want to take a stroll down the subway tracks. You make your way through the stage, following signs and clues to figure out which doors to go through. It's all pretty standard for a ghost house level until you get towards the very end. The last room is sort of a recreation of level 1 from Donkey Kong, featuring DK's spooky-ass ghost, and if you manage to make it through, you win. Hooray, not total trash. This one in concept is a pretty neat idea, but in practice, not so much. It's supposed to be a 2D reimagining of Super Mario 64, but it also adds in elements from other games like Flood from Mario Sunshine and those Launch Star things from Galaxy. Games like this actually make me kinda mad because I really do like the idea of it. But just like almost every other Flash game, it's ruined by bad controls and overall bad design. Also, for some reason, there's an FPS counter in the corner. I personally won't settle for any Flash games under 4K 60 FPS. As sloppy as this game is, I did play it for a pretty long while. That is until I got to this part with the bully from Snowman's Land. Not only is it difficult as hell to actually land hits on him and bump him back, but knocking him off the platform doesn't even actually kill him like it does in Super Mario 64. He just kind of hops back onto the platform. It wasn't until like 6 frustrating deaths later that I realized that you need to knock him off like 3 goddamn times. This is, well, it's a Flash Mario game. It's not horrible. It is, however, pretty difficult due to fucking rogue hitboxes. The art style isn't bad in and of itself, and it's really colorful, but this kind of sprite art just reminds me of cheap mobile games. The object of each stage is to find the hidden key somewhere in the level and then make your way to the exit. When you beat a level, another door opens up in the hub. I tried really hard to like this, but those hitboxes just made me fucking rage quit. Here's another one of those games where you drive through a course using the arrow keys to balance. As always, if you fall over, you fucking spontaneously combust. Now, when I first started this game up and realized what was going on, I tried to actually get into it and see how far I could go. The idea is that when you first start out, you can't get very far, but you earn money as you play to buy upgrades for your truck. Well, I kept playing and ended up upgrading everything as far as I could and still couldn't even make it remotely close to the end of the track. Great. Here's one where you play as Marco from Metal Slug. It's fucking bad, dude. It's also extremely short despite the fact that I wasted a lot of time perpetually dying. It wasn't until after I beat the level that I realized that the game has a bunch of different parts all hosted separately on Newgrounds, but I think I'd rather stick my head in a pot of boiling water than play more of this one. Also didn't realize till watching this footage that this one's got an FPS counter too. Why the fuck is this a thing? This one's simply titled The Mario Bros. I have no idea what's in store for me here, but I'm grateful anytime a game gives me the option to play as the Ouija. Oh boy, what is this? Oh, this is bad. This is a bad one. And the thing is, there isn't even anything particularly exceptionally bad about this one. It's just not good. I mean, I actually understand when people have like cool ideas to change up the Mario universe or mechanics and they want to make a game based on that, but this is just Mario, but less good. Why? What is even the point? I've got one more for you guys, and this one's just kind of gross and weird. It starts off with some exposition about prophecies or some bullshit, and pretty much just says, in far more words than necessary, that Mario needs to save the princess. Shocker. That's a him. Mario. Ew. So this game's a boss rush, and you control Mario by moving the cursor. You basically just wait for a window that the boss isn't attacking for it to be vulnerable, and then approach and attack it. There isn't really much to it, and it's all just about timing things correctly. You don't even actually need to beat each boss to progress, because the title screen just has a level select option. I couldn't manage to figure out this crab boss on level 3, so I just quit and then skipped to Bowser, who just so happens to be fucking terrifying. Spoiler, couldn't figure out how to beat him either, so yeah, I quit. I guess you're also supposed to be saving Luigi, but from the looks of it, he's too far gone at this point anyway. and so am I. I normally don't know how to end episodes, but this one I really didn't know how to end. So I'm gonna go play Odyssey. Okay, goodbye. Hey, thanks for watching my video. If you liked what you saw, maybe give it a like and share it around. And if you want to see more videos of mine right now, there's a couple right there you can watch. And subscribe if you want to see future videos I make. You know, if YouTube decides to let them show up in your sub box.